Hello and welcome to part 6 of this Devlog series. So I actually have a really bad cold. I think it's probably COVID.
You know, like bada bang, bada boom. Hey,
So throughout this video, I'm just gonna be like whisper talking at you.
That's what she said. And you know what? What was that? Okay.
So, first of all, I guess I just wanted to start off by saying I hope everybody's had a wonderful summer. I sure know I did. Overall, it's been a really great time, and I hope all of you had a great time too. But yeah, let's get into the video and into episode 6 of this Devlog series. So I actually made and sort of half set up this Animal Crossing style mini version of me that I was going to use to sort of narrate the video. But because I'm sick, I'm not really able to finish it on time to have it be like in this video. So instead I'm just going to be using some poopy 2D art instead, to sort of use that to help narrate the video. I'm probably going to throw in a few pictures of my little mini me version. But yeah, like I said, I didn't really have time to finish it. So hopefully the next video, perhaps. So I actually decided to redo the environment, and I know I've done this like a trillion times by now. I actually think that this time it was really worth it. So you'll see I made a new scene, started from scratch by placing out the height of the terrain and the rocks, and just starting to put in the grass and everything again. I then made sure to set up the terrain copy grass, I don't know what to call it, but the script basically that copies the color of the terrain on the grass. I decided to set up these sort of like big arches in the background because I thought that would look nice and give the world a little bit more depth. I think this bit isn't very interesting, but sort of very necessary. I realized how untidy the whole project was looking, so I just briefly organized it a little bit better by putting everything where it should be, and then tidying up the grass a little bit just to make sure that there's not just like a ton of grass under a rock, because you're not gonna, be looking under the rock anyway, so why have a bunch of grass there? Then I went ahead and set up some more foliage. You'll see we now have these like sort of hanging ferns and some like ivy on the big pillars. This was mainly like a test thing, so the way the sort of arch is looking is not finalized, and the way the ivy is looking is not finalized either. And then you can see that I'm playing around with the sky box. So I'll actually come back to this later in the video and set it up proper exactly the way I want it to, and I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. But here you can see that I'm playing around with the process of making your own sort of skybox and making it rotate and such. So I redid the arch and I was playing around with materials for the rocks. I'm actually still not happy with the way the rocks are looking, so I'm probably gonna change that sometime soon. Hopefully I'll have access to Substance Painter in a bit so that I can finally sort that out. But yeah, then there's like a whole lot more of just placing the things in the scene and just making sure that I'm liking the way that it's looking. Now here things get really interesting, I think. So I decided to set up a particle system for butterflies. So you can see that there's 3 in the scene, and they have like different colors and different amounts of like butterflies in the cluster, and then you can sort of change how big the area is for the butterflies and how many, and it's really easy to change the color because it's just like a one-sided texture, as you can see on the bottom there. So I was having a lot of fun playing around with that and getting to put a little bit more life in the scene, I guess. I'm thinking of in the future I want to set up a bird particle system as well, but I haven't gotten that far, so for now it's just a trillion a trillion butterflies. So at this point I also added some more foliage in the scene. It's kind of hard to tell from where the camera is now, but now there is lavenders, there's more like grass types. So there's sort of like this more fern looking grass and this more like dead, dry looking grass in the scene, which I think makes everything look a lot more natural, I guess, with the variety. Now, so this is the second part. So the map is like this big terrain, and so I'm imagining that the player would start in this sort of little bit more closed off area, and then they would be walked out to this big open world where they can just sort of go wherever they want. And so I worked really hard to make sure that the world felt really open, and it looked a little bit like a hybrid of something from Ghibli and like a game. So this is not really the finished look. This is sort of me just blocking out what I think I want the scene to look like. Now you can see that I removed the trees because I realized it was a little bit limiting, so you can really see the big open plains. Also working on the clouds, you can see they look a little bit different now, and that's going to update yet again pretty soon, because I have a habit of just redoing it over and over and over again until I think it's just perfect. But I think that's quite nice because I'm really happy with the way the end result ended up looking. So actually at this part of the video, I was actually dealing a lot with performance, and so I wasn't expecting to handle that until later into the development, but I decided to just, what do you call it, nip it in the bud, just deal with it as soon as possible. So basically I tried some different methods, and basically what's going on now on the screen is just I'm playing around with the clouds because I have different like sky domes, and I want the clouds to rotate a little bit differently. It's actually really funny because I actually write the script completely wrong, so I make it rotate in the wrong axis, which is a little bit funny, which you'll see any second now. Which is a bit of an oopsie, but we all make mistakes, I guess. But back to talking about performance, I actually tried many different things working with like the LOD groups, and because Unity Terrain does batching, and I'm not super fond of the way that it was looking because it like loads in this huge like square, and I wanted it to be like a nice fade in, fade out. So I tried with having LOD groups for the grass, but that wasn't really working the way I wanted it to either. So I ended up just doing it with the like built-in terrain batching and GPU instancing for the grass to make it not be super heavy on the system. And as you can see now, I managed to get the clouds rotating properly and not just spinning around like crazy all day. So that felt quite nice having that sorted out. See the character standing around looking at this landscape. And so around this time I was making many like smaller adjustments in the environment that weren't like super noticeable by themselves, but I decided that I wanted to have another go at fixing up the sky and the clouds. So you can see the clouds start moving about a little bit now, and pretty soon I actually end up changing the sprite that I'm using for the little clouds, because I think now they almost look like hills because the shapes weren't like sporadic and floaty enough. It just kind of looked like almost like a blue scoop of ice cream. So after fiddling around with the movement speed and how they were moving, I just realized, okay, so let's just change the texture, and I ended up with this instead. And I thought it looked really cute because you have these separate layers and they're all rotating sort of like a parallax. And then you have these small, super tiny little wisps or whatever, I'm not sure what to call them, to create like the illusion of more depth. And so at this point I actually added in another particle system with the little wind waves. It's very subtle, but I actually think it adds quite a lot to the scene, because now we got the clouds moving, the wind through the grass, the butterflies, and pretty soon there's going to be another update to the clouds. So I feel like the only thing that's like really missing now would be some like birds flying over the scene, just to make it look a little bit more complete, I guess. And also, if you're paying really close attention just now, you'll see that I managed to sort out the FPS, and I think it's up somewhere around 170, 200 frames per second now. So I ended up making some more adjustments to the environment, making the clouds a little bit lighter, adjusting the terrain, adding a few more trees and waterfalls, and also some fences because I have all these assets I've made. And then finally I updated and added the final sky dome in the scene, which you can see makes it look very more Ghibli style. I'm not really sure what to call it, but it looks a lot more anime-like, and the sky feels a lot more complete. And the plan for this is that now when I have it like this, because I also want to play around with nighttime, but now I can just easily do that with the volume and make it more blue like my old scene, so I get the best of both worlds with these beautiful open fields, but I can also play around with the nighttime. I also set up this new teaser trailer that better reflects the new environment and what I'm going for, so I thought as like a closer for this video we could just watch it and then everybody can be on their way. So let's check it out.